it's like I've been, you know, I've seen Earth from outer space, and I've looked back in, you know, and it's like I've seen a whole new perspective on what we can do next and what we can see, what we can get away with.
Hello, you're watching NME. I'm Jordan Bassett. We're here with Serge from Kasabian and indeed his solo record, the S.L.P. So I suppose the first obvious question, Serge, why these songs are better suited to a solo record than to go onto a Kasabian album?
I should probably start with sort of how it all began.
Yeah.
And then, like, so we'd finished September and we were like, we sort of sat around and realised we'd not really had any time off in terms of playing live or doing things, you know, for like 20 odd years, something mad.
Yeah, wow.
So it's like, okay, well let's just have this, let's just do a year and just sort of, you know, do nothing. I think it felt the right time, you know, this band, we've seen so much, we've done so much, and it's like, well, let's just, sometimes, Joe Strummer said sometimes it's, even though I've not done this, but sometimes it's good just to shut the fuck up. You know? So it felt right, let's just be quiet for a bit, and then, so then I sort of thought, what the hell am I going to do? And so it was really like a now or never really. Like I thought that if I don't just put something out, I'll go mad anyway, not doing anything. And it'll probably be another 5 or 6 years. So I had this music that I was calling Meanwhile in a hard drive. And it was kind of like based on like a sort of this sort of like little film, this sort of like all the things that I love, like Roy Budd and Morricone and, you know, and John Barry and John Williams. I sort of had this kind of music that I was calling Meanwhile, and then to start a record I thought, well, I can see what that, like, it's almost felt great, like there's me here in a band and then meanwhile there's me doing this.
Right, yeah.
So I thought, great, I feel like that's a record I could make, and I've kind of got this music that would work really well. Yeah. It wouldn't work with Kasabian because it was very much, well, it was a real move, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I just didn't, it wasn't right that the sort of, it wouldn't be right for us, I don't know, it just didn't feel right for the band, but it felt right to make this weird little sort of thing. You know what I mean? So this Meanwhile was the start.
So how much time did you actually have off, like doing literally nothing?
Not enough. But I just can't, like, I feel like I'm being chased by, you know, time, because I just want to put stuff out. I just want to do things. I just want to, like,
doing it for 20 years.
I know,
most
but it's
people
just,
like,
I don't know. I just feel like, God, why you can, like, I do like making things. That's kind of what, like, and it's funny because it's like pinpoint, following the art, making it. And I don't really think about the consequences, especially this. I didn't think about this too much. And it's only now when you sort of start having to do interviews and talk, and it is probably like, oh, you've made a record on your own. I didn't really think of it like that. Just, right. I've got to make this, got to finish it.
Yeah,
it's like, that's the best bit. I look, those moments in the studio where it starts to come together, that's it, that's everything. And then you go, oh, no, now I've got to do a few gigs, now I've got to talk about it, and I've got to explain myself. It's like,
and it's really eclectic, so it's soundtracky, obviously inspired by Ennio Morricone. There's rap and stuff on there. It's kind of, it's all over the place. Was there any point where you had to draw the line and be like, okay, that's too far out?
Yeah, no, there was like, literally, that was the point. There was no, you know, I was, whatever it was, I'm going to do that. And I could get to explore like different parts of my personality, different ways of singing, delivery, you know, and you know, and favourites and stuff. There's a couple of new characters vocally that I didn't know that were in there, you know, but I was like, they're not, you know, they're kind of, that's just, you know, that's too far out. So I could just be that person for a bit, you know.
That's wicked. And yeah, so there are some great guests on there, Little Simz. What do you admire about Little Simz?
Yeah, everything really. I mean, I was so lucky to, you know, be able to work with her and get her on, and it's just such a perfect part of the song. And I think, you know, along with this sort of Meanwhile thing, I wanted, surprise was a part of it. I wanted every tune to just twist and turn. You never really quite know what's going to happen next. And then especially I wanted to collaborate and get people that I really want to work with that would maybe not necessarily think the first people you think of.
Yeah.
So Simz and obviously Slowthai too. So it was just that constant driving to just make something interesting.
And Slowthai as well.
Yeah.
What is it that you admire about Slowthai?
I just think he's the real, you know, he's the real deal. I've seen him a few times live now, and he's spectacular, you know, and a real nice. He's got such a lovely way about him, you know. It's just, he's got a real, he's a real character, and they are so hard to find.
Yes. I wondered if he reminded you of like the early days of Kasabian, you know, when
very
he were,
much
like, proper
so.
upstarts.
I really feel there was, especially when I saw him in Birmingham. It was a tiny venue, and it really reminded me of our early days and our first few gigs, and that there's a confidence there, but it's not. It's charming. It's, you know, there's something, you know, really engages you and draws you in, and it's that confidence, and it's great, man. And the energy in that crowd. It's well similar to like those early days when we were playing King Tut's and York Fibbers and that, those mental nights, you know, where you could see the crowd were just with you, and you know, it was great.
I've got to put you on the spot. They're both up for the Mercury.
Yeah.
Who are you backing?
I mean, you know, they'll share that, right? 10 grand each. They
can both, I bet. That's great. And you've talked about how there's a lot of sort of observational songwriting on this record. Favourites is about like the facade people put up on dating apps, right?
Yeah.
So could you tell us like how that song came about?
It was like I said, it was just thinking about, like, I spend most of my time trying to figure stuff out. Like I like sort of, I'm fascinated by the world. It fascinates me. Not like I'm a judge on the world. It's more like I just like to see what is going on there. And I was just seeing this more and more, this false, this unrealistic version of yourself, this perfect vision that you have, that you try and live up to, and it's just where that's going to take us. God knows. You know?
Are you worried about it, or do you think it's just the way things change?
I just think it is just what it is. Like I don't really. It just amazes me. Like I saw someone call it like the fourth dimension, where it's like how much you let the world into your life now is. And that's the norm. Like there's the art, the art, and that world, and that's fine. But then there's you as just walking about as a person, and letting people into that as well as everything else. I don't know if that's very good for you.
In terms of like that observational songwriting, does that differ to how you sort of like? Does that kernel of how a song starts, is that different than with Kasabian?
Maybe this. I mean, I always find I tend to sort of. It's like use imagery, and I'm very visual with my words. They're not, you know, there's not a lot of stories and humour. Humour's sort of at the humour's really at the forefront. Like it's funny when it gets lost on people now and again, because you know it's littered with just ridiculous, daft things. You know what I mean? And but I think that it's so important to me, that things are funny. Like I always feel my favourite artists there's just dark humour in all of it.
Like who?
I mean, even like Tom York, like he's got some killers that you just think, that I just think of, you know, like there's certain, like, you know, that he's touching upon, I think that's just pure comedy. That.
So you think that maybe sometimes that gets lost on people?
100%. I mean, I can go, our first track was called Clubfoot, you know.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that is the first thing the second thing we released. I mean, we got a track called Vlad the Impaler. I mean, what the heck, you know what I mean? And it's as if it's this mean character, but it's just.
But it's cartoony.
Pure cartoon, yeah. That's
brilliant. So I mean, have you kind of reconciled with that, or does it bother you at all?
Do you know what? I've learned pretty quickly. Say from the first record, it would you'd read things or you'd hear things, and you'd want to. Like sit them down and explain yourself.
Right.
Explain where certain things came from. Say they got the reference wrong, it'd do my head in, you know. Because you'd be like, say someone would say this, it was that, and you go, no man, it wasn't that, it was this film or that tune or that artist. And then I realised, like, the second record, there's nothing, like, you're better off shutting your mouth.
Right, okay.
And just getting on with it.
Just let it go.
Just shut your mouth. Because you're never going to win those, you're just never going to win, so you just carry on. And then I think over time, the more you put out, the more output it's people start to kind of go, oh okay, that was that, oh right,
right,
that was where you, okay.
Has working on this album affected the way you write with Kasabian? Has it kind of opened any doors in any way?
Yeah, I think it reminds, like, there's the childlike thing of just make for the sake of it.
Yeah, yeah.
When you forget, you tend to just, it becomes a machine. And you know, all of a sudden there's 28 trucks at a gig, and I really think it's reset. I feel the next chapter's so exciting for the band because I can see, it's like I've been, you know, I've seen Earth from outer space. And I've looked back in, you know, and it's like I've seen a whole new perspective on what we can do next and what we can see, what we can get away with.
That's awesome. So what are you seeing when you look down at the future for Kasabian?
I mean, more of the same, really. Just turn it up a few notches.
And you
What did Noel, we were talking to Noel the other day, and it might have been a Francis Bacon quote, and he sent me it, and he said like it was go for the nervous system.
That's
I love that.
Straight in, yeah.
Yeah.
So are you underway with the Kasabian album?
Yeah, I mean, I've got the studio at home, so I'm always in there writing, and I've started that, and like I know already, like, of the few bits that are there already, that they would not have existed without this.
That's brilliant.
So yeah, that's great.
So this is out at the end of the month. Is there any way of putting a date on a Kasabian album? Is there any way you might, like, in next
No, I
year,
mean, I
or?
just think, yeah, I mean, we're you know, the wheels are turning, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's annihilation music.
I think that's a great place to leave it. So thanks so much.